Monday, August 9th meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. First item on our agenda is we've got some appointments to make. We got some correspondence from the MBTA that typically the chair is serves as the appointee. So I don't know if you guys want to make that appointment, or if somebody else, Mark or John, you would like to serve on the MBTA advisory board?
No, thank you.
I don't have any particular expertise, but if it lightens your load, I assume it's a relatively low load. I'm willing to take that on. But if you have particular interest, please continue.
No, I have not served, I haven't attended any meetings, Mark, so I am more than happy to make that nomination.
Very well.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion that we appoint Mark Russo to represent the town of Plympton on the MBTA advisory board. Looks like this is an annual appointment until of the time of the elections. What is that, June?
June 30th.
June 30th, 2021.
I'll second.
22, actually, June 30th, 2022. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we've got another appointment to emergency management. This is Brad Cronin until June 30th, 2022. Mark, I think you've got another appointment in correspondence. Did you want to wait until correspondence to handle it, or do you want to do it now?
I wonder if maybe it's better in correspondence since it's getting introduced that way.
Okay, very good. All right, so I'll make a motion that we appoint Brad Cronin to emergency management until or through 6/30/2022. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, so we've got those taken care of. All right. Now on to the Carver Urban Renewal Project update. Mark and I both attended the meeting. I was so glad that I went, and I think Mark was glad that he was in attendance as well. So we can both speak to this. Mark, did you want to start?
I'll let you start, Christine.
Okay.
Please.
All right. So they were basically what they did was the meeting, the RPA went through and like one of our meetings, they just went through and talked about things that they've got going on. For me, some of like the biggest takeaway that they were looking at a 24/7 operation. So that was news to me. But on a really good note is the RPA is the one, and Department of Housing Community Development are the ones that have control over this project. So that was a really good thing to hear. They are working to get a consultant on board. At this point, everything is really conceptual. They've got quite a bit of work to do to get where they want to be. They're going to be bringing forth quite a few different zoning changes to their next town meeting to help maximize what they're able to do at the property. Another couple things that were kind of noteworthy were that what they were looking for at town meeting was to be able to extend the height of the building. So if they were to bring the building to a greater height than is currently planned, then we would be looking at increased setbacks. So that's a good thing. What they had said, if the building was 60 feet in height, it would be an additional 100-foot setback required. So that was good to hear. There were some concerns about the height of the water tower, whether it would be above the restriction, and I guess it's in the Plymouth plan for the Plymouth Airport. So they had a lot of checking to do on that. So they're still really they have a lot of work to do, but I was very happy with the level of concern that they showed for Plympton residents, and they gave Mark and I an opportunity to speak. We had a couple of residents that were in attendance that asked questions too. They were very forthcoming with any information that they had. They really want to work with us. They want to get the developer to do some public outreach so that we have a opportunity as a town to talk to the developer and let them know what we think about the plan. And so I felt it was a really good meeting. They're going to keep us informed of future meeting dates so that we can communicate that to residents so that, we're all on the same page and have an idea of what's planned for the property. But they couldn't have been more accommodating. I thought that they were really very concerned, and which was refreshing. So Mark, what did you have?
Well, I'll echo much of what you had to say. I was very appreciative how willing they were to listen. And I was particularly appreciative that they're aware that this is going to have significant impact on Plympton residents, and we're taking that into account. I was also impressed that there is no actual plan yet, so it's really hard to move some of the machinery forward on this. In any event, though, I was very pleased we attended. I was very pleased that there's an opening for communication back and forth, and so we won't get blindsided on this. And I'm very glad to stay involved as you are, Christine. Just a little aside, I was speaking to a Conservation Commission member this evening who mentioned that there may be Conservation Commission regulations that allow a town abutting a project like this to ask for the developer to pay for a consultant to the abutting town as well. And maybe that's something we might want to explore a little bit along the way, particularly when there's a plan and we get into the technical aspects, particularly wastewater disposal, drainage, and wetlands. And so that's something I might like to pursue a little to see if that is an actual thing. If it is, if we might ask for the developer to pay for that process. Overall, though, I mean, we know that this project's going to move forward. I actually see so many more hoops that they have to go through, particularly the zoning bylaw changes. Their town meeting is in April, which seems like forever away, but the way these things go, it's actually a fairly short period of time. So there's so much work for Carver to do, and this thing's a long ways away from done. I mean, the last thing I'll say, it was very clear to me from the Development Authority that they are sympathetic to the concerns of people around. At the same time, they made clear that a project is going to happen over there. And I, as much as to some extent I'd love to hope a project wasn't going to happen, it's pretty clear that it is, and that our job is going to mainly be to the best we can mitigate the effects.
Maureen, did you have anything you wanted to add? You were at the meeting.
I also felt very supported compared to maybe 2 years ago, when I also went to a selectmen's meeting and kind of listened in. It was completely different this time. So it was encouraging. But like you said, they do have a lot of work to do. But thanks for your support. I appreciate that you both went and attended.
More to come. We're going to be following this one. And I think that, based on all of the zoning changes that they're proposing, and they did talk about widening the road to get into the facility, as well as really kind of the change from mixed use to straight warehousing. I think there probably will be another MIPA review and another environmental review that they're going to have to do as well. So I think that there will be quite a bit more work they're going to have to do when they finally decide on a plan. So more to come, but we'll stay on top of it. And as we find out when the next meeting is, we'll certainly communicate it to all of you so that we can stay on top of it. Great, thank you. Okay, so next item on the agenda is turning it over to Rob for the State Bridge project updates.
Well, which one would you like to start with? You want to
How about
start
the
with
easy
58?
one? Let's start with the easy one.
Okay, so that would be the Hugh Ward Ferguson Jr. Memorial Bridge on 58.
Mhm.
We have that grant. They are planning to do some corings relatively soon for, structural testing. Right now I'm waiting for an RDA from Concom, a request for determination of applicability. Geez, I can't speak today. Applicability for wetlands. They got to get a barge under there for when they do full depth. They jackhammer down from the top of the bridge and knock all the bad concrete down to like a barge underneath. And then it's hauled out. They form up underneath, re-put like new rebar inside it, and then they backfill it with concrete and put new asphalt on top for a wear surface. They're not planning on doing any major structural changes, just the repairs for now. They're hoping they can get it paid for with just that grant. So hopefully we won't have to incur too many costs. I believe they're thinking about a scheduled replacement in like 5 to 7 years. They're going to start throwing around possibly changing the whole bridge. So this is just like a temporary fix for, a long-term repair down the road. Yeah, they did lay out some traffic management plans. I did send you guys over some of the stuff from Niche. I don't know if you guys get the chance to thumb through it at all or not. They laid out a TMP with how they're gonna, defer traffic during the construction time. As of when, I don't know entirely when they're starting. I'm hoping this year. Anybody have any questions on it, or?
I don't. I looked over what you sent. Some of it went over my head, but
Some of it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you have any questions, I can definitely clarify in person, probably a little better.
do you know if it's going to bring 58 down to one lane or not?
No, they're going to keep it 2 lanes. There's enough room in there. They can just shuffle it back and forth. It's going to be kind of tight through there, but they're going to leave move 2 lanes over, and then they'll split them when they do the middle part, and then they'll move them back over when they do the other part.
Okay,
So
that sounds good.
Flow traffic, yeah.
So there shouldn't be any traffic thrown onto the Winnetoxet
No,
Street or any of those.
No, thank God.
Yeah, good. No, I'm fine.
Okay. Do you want to go over anything from the Winnetoxet Bridge, the road safety audit?
So
Go ahead, Mark,
No.
or John, I'm sorry.
I guess the biggest question is, are we going to have a wooden bridge or are we?
I don't know. I'm still hoping we can have something very similar, very rustic like that. The one thing I'd say to change would probably widen it out a little bit so you can accommodate 2-lane traffic and maybe some type of sidewalk for pedestrians. I mean, there is going to be growth at some point in Plympton, and if we're going to change the bridge, you might as well.
I saw the sidewalk. Does that run all the way down to Prospect, or how would that work?
That was part of their discussion that I've had with AECom. They were thinking about possibly doing a whole sidewalk, pedestrian, some type of thing to accommodate bicyclists and, foot traffic.
Yep.
It's still up in the air. I mean, it was one of the things I wanted to discuss with you guys tonight. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, moving forward from my standpoint, we don't really have any equipment to maintain sidewalk, but it would be nice for people in town.
Well, how do you do uptown?
We do it with a couple of pickup trucks, a couple of our big trucks and a loader. It's a little bit of a process. We don't have like a snow blower or an actual sidewalk plow. kind of unconventional how we handle it. It's only a short stretch to do that part, but if you're adding more sidewalk, wintertime maintenance and even summertime maintenance becomes more extensive.
Can we rent them from the adjoining town, Halifax or Kingston?
We can borrow it. Halifax's sidewalk broom is pretty old, and their snow blower is used quite significantly in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So availability would become kind of, scarce in a way.
Maybe we should make it a wooden sidewalk.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do. They haven't really drawn up any plans on that. They're waiting to hear back from me to, on what you guys thought, the town thinks on, moving forward with stuff like that. I like the looks of the wooden bridge, so I know there's not going to be, too many people that want a big concrete or steel deck thing in there.
I agree. We're going to hear a lot of chatter if we try to move away from a wooden bridge.
I know.
And I totally agree on that. And I'm glad it sounds like you're having the opportunity, at least for some input. I think
so far they seem pretty open to input. I mean, I don't know how far they'll let us go with it, but they seem pretty open at this point.
I think it's the thing we fear is that at some point suddenly affect our complete plan and too far along for us to reverse it. In terms of sidewalks, obviously, we want to see the plan. I think anything that encourages citizens to be out and walking safely in general, I'd be in favor of it. I'll even volunteer to shovel the snow in winter if we get a good.
That's a lot of snow.
That is a lot of snow.
No problem.
Rob, in reading this, it was, I didn't realize the bridge was under the jurisdiction of Mass DOT.
Which one?
This, the bridge we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
That
I didn't really either, but yeah.
So that was interesting. So how is this going to be paid for? Are they applying for a tip grant?
I think this is being done, from my understandings, this is being done through the state.
Okay.
This is part of like a state's program to update stuff. And so far, it doesn't sound like we're really going to incur much of any cost. So far, they sound like this is something they're doing to help improve our town.
Yeah, so it sounded like what they were going to pay for was there was going to be a sidewalk over the bridge.
Yeah.
That they were doing some work with the guardrail to remove or eliminate a gap.
Yeah, they don't really like our wooden guardrail because there's a space between the guardrails and the bridge. It's so we can get in there and cut back the brush and basically just maintenance. They don't like the space. I mean, they did want to change that, but I think they're talking about a whole changing of the bridge. They're looking to do some core samples of the road, the material underneath it out there too, some borings to see what's under there. They're talking about, widening it into like a standard width.
I do wonder, with all the federal infrastructure stuff going through, if that might change this a little in terms of the timeline or the scope of the project. Presumably that's for DOT to be working on, but yeah, possibly. They're still in, the infancy of this. It's just starting to discuss what they wanted or what we want, what they'd like to do after all the surveying and stuff that has been done.
I think if you can stay on top of this, Rob, because I have the same concern that somewhere in the process, all of a sudden they'll throw a switch. Yeah, and we'll find ourselves with a much different bridge.
Yeah, like something that goes over Route 3 instead of something that goes to the back roads of Plympton.
Yeah, right. They did that with the guardrails. We put in all the rustic guardrails, and then they said no more. So
they don't like the core 10. It where it adjoins the wood overlaps, it'll actually rot. It didn't stay just surface rust like it was supposed to, so it becomes structurally insufficient.
Well, good. I'm glad you're working with them.
Yeah, trying.
Yeah, Rob, it'll be interesting to find out, because they've made a lot of recommendations for us regarding the bridge and kind of the area around the bridge, the streets, Winnetoxet, Prospect, I don't think parsonage so much,
No,
but
basically just all of Winnetoxet.
yeah. So I just wonder how we would pay for something like that. It would have to be, in the event we chose to implement any of these, we'd probably have to do some type of tip.
Yeah, something along those lines. From the sounds of it, though, this is almost like a state gift in a way. Like they're going, from what I'm understanding from AECom, is we're not really going to have to incur any costs on this. They're bringing us up to like standards in a way.
I think you need to really make sure you're tight with Liz so that,
Yes.
you know, she can work the grant side, I think, and
Yep.
the financial team where Lisa can jump in. And if everybody stays on top of it, I think it'll be a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, I sent her over all the stuff I've been getting along with this. So she's in the loop.
Great. So, you know, might be something to discuss more in depth as things change, because I don't know if at this point, you know, we have enough information to make a decision about a sidewalk. I mean, it does sound like it'd be a nice thing to have, but, you know, we don't know any costs or any of that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll find out everything from them. It's still in the beginning stages.
Okay. So any idea when the DOT, this project will come to fruition and they'll do some work on the bridge?
The one over the Winnetoxet River, the wooden one?
Yep.
Probably not for a few years.
Okay, so we're very early in this.
Yes.
stage then.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Great. That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Rob?
I'm fine.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Rob. Thanks for coming in and giving us all this very good information.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you.
Bye.
See you, Rob.
Okay, so now on to application from Brewery 44 Upland Ale Company for 14 one-day liquor licenses, beer sales at Sawchuck Farm for weekend dates beginning September 18th through October 31st from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I believe we've got the application. We got an email from the chief that he had sent to the applicants. So are you folks with us? Michael, are you?
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are the applicants. Okay. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Mike Johnson. I'm one of the owners of Brewery 44.
Okay.
Jameson Wright, 75 Upland, owner 2.
Great. Very good. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming in. All right. So did you guys want to speak first on this?
Sure. I can just give you a little synopsis. So we approached Scott Sawchuck a couple weeks ago with the idea of doing a pop-up beer garden. They've become very popular now in the area. As a matter of fact, right now, there's one that's happening at Nantasket Beach. There's another one at the Legacy Place in the Derby Street Shops. And then there's another one at Brommel Country Store in Plymouth.
Quincy Center.
Quincy Center has one as well. And basically what breweries are doing is they're putting up a location where there's a lot of foot traffic, and they're giving people like a place to come over and, have a sample a few beers and, just basically improve the environment of where they currently are. And it's something that, breweries around the country have been doing for the last couple of years, just a way of expanding our market base. And so we met with Scott, walked through the property, took a look at, where we could do this. We worked out with Scott as far as the logistics go. And, our plan would be to offer a pop-up tent area, very small, with 3 beers or 2 beers and then 1 seltzer. We would have either myself or Jameson there all the time, along with one of our employees. The hours of operation would be approximately 12 to 5. The Sawchuck's farm closes at 6. So our last call and for everything would probably be roughly about 4:45, because it would be our goal to be completely out of there at 6 o'clock when the gates close. So that's, yeah, and as far as the licensing goes, I believe it's 13 or 14 days. I have to double check on the calendar, but it's every Saturday and Sunday up until October 31st. We won't be doing it on October 31st just because they have reduced hours on that day. So it doesn't make sense for us to do so.
And if it's raining, we wouldn't be there either.
Yeah.
So it comes out to be 13 licenses.
Okay.
Thanks, Bree.
I have one or two questions.
Sure.
I like the idea, subject to what the chief of police has raised, about the detail, because I know when you drive by there, if you can drive by there, there's so many cars, lots of kids. The other thing, I see that you submitted documents that show you, Michael, and Aaron are tip certified.
Our entire staff is tip certified.
Yeah, okay, that's what was my question.
Right. Every member of my staff is required to be tip certified. We do have all the documentation for all of the folks that would be working at that location.
It's certified crowd
Great.
control, too.
Right. We also have crowd control certification as well.
Super.
Not that we would need it, but it's just good to
We
have.
got everything that we could.
No, it's important. I'm okay with it, subject to Matt Clancy, chief, saying okay.
Bree, do we have all the paperwork that we need, the insurance and all of that?
Yes, we do. I just know that they had some questions from Matt, and I don't know if Matt, I haven't checked my email again, about the cost of the details.
Right. I don't think he had responded yet. I didn't see a response.
Matt responded to us and.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He asked us to give him a call tomorrow, assuming that everything went positive on today's call, that we would have a conversation tomorrow in regards to making this as cost effective as possible, and working out some different ways where the detail would be there. But, again, working with us, knowing that we're a small brewery, that a full-time police detail would probably make it prohibitively not cost effective for us. So
Okay.
we're working with them tomorrow, assuming that everything goes well.
Great. Okay. Mark, did you have some questions?
Yeah, sort of questions or just concerns to be assuaged, maybe. I think if we go ahead with this, and just wanted to be clear, it's not a precedent for the future. I kind of wish we were doing a couple of one-day things and an opportunity to see how it went and make sure there weren't a problem instead of the whole bunch along the way. But I understand how we have to move forward. I suppose just really a question is, if God forbid something went wrong associated with the sale of beer halfway through this, would we be able to rescind the rest of the one-day licenses that we'll be approving tonight?
That's a good question.
I don't know the answer to it.
I don't know the answer either.
In any event, I mean, I'm willing to go ahead with this. I think it's one of those things that we can see how it goes. We surely have had problems over there just with traffic flow and probably too many people in one place. And I think this is another one we'll have to see if the facility can handle the increased traffic.
From my perspective, I would feel more comfortable if we just did agreed to the first 4 licenses. And if there weren't any issues, that I would have no problem with the rest. But it just seems like a lot for me when this is something so brand new, we've never done before. There's certainly concerns with traffic in the area and, any potential issues. So I would just feel more comfortable if we did it for a smaller number. And then if there weren't any issues, that we would then approve the remainder. But I don't know, would you guys is that acceptable to you for us to do like 4 licenses? And then if we don't have any issues, then we could grant the rest.
Yeah, that would work for us. We certainly respect the town's authority to make sure that everything runs smoothly. That's obviously our first concern. Looking at the dates, so we would be looking at approval for the 18th and 19th and the 25th and 26th. And then assuming that there is no issues, that we would be automatically granted the rest of those licenses.
I'd be good with that.
Yeah, I'd be good with that too.
Okay, all right, Mark, is that acceptable to you?
Yeah, that assuages some concerns. And I mean, if this works out, I'm enthusiastic about approving the rest, but I think that's a really wise, prudent way to proceed. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Excuse me one moment.
Go ahead, Bree.
Christine?
Yep.
Did you want to, so if you approve the month of September, the 4 dates for that, are you saying to automatically, if things go smoothly, which I think and hope they will, just to approve October date?
Yeah, I would
Or
have no
have them at a
problem
meeting.
with that we automatically approve October, or when is our next meeting in?
Isn't it the
September.
27th?
Yeah, we meet the 27th.
Okay, well then why don't we plan, if there's no issues,
Okay, very
we'll
good.
put it back on the agenda and we'll grant the remainder of the licenses for October.
That makes sense.
Good,
Okay.
Okay.
very good.
Perfect. Okay, so what's the language for these licenses, Bree? Are they malt licenses or beer and seltzer?
Are you selling seltzer?
Yes, they
Matt,
said they're selling
Michael?
seltzer.
I got, my call got dropped, so I had to get re-added to the call. So I think that's just considered malt only.
Well,
Correct.
I'm
It's not
looking
wine.
at the rules and regulations of the ABC. And it says only nonprofits may apply for an all alcohol special license. For profits may only apply for a wine and malt special license number third party special license. So I don't know, maybe that's the way it should be worded to approve it.
Okay. Okay,
It's on the application, it's a malt only.
malt only. So is seltzer considered a malt?
Yes, it is. That's
Beautiful.
that we're licensed to brew only malt beverages, and the state considers seltzer to be a malt beverage.
Perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so.
And then each license is cost of $75.
Okay, so
each
for
license.
each day, the license cost is $75.
Yes.
Okay,
So
But you-
I'll need to check for 300.
okay, and you have all of the paperwork you need?
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Okay, beautiful. Okay.
Well, excuse me, Mark, I'm sorry, John, did you want to have a tip certification for everyone who's going to be serving?
We haven't.
I would think we should. I assume you have them and you can just photostat them and send them over.
Yes, we do. We have.
Okay,
have them
yeah,
all.
let's do that. It just makes it clearer.
Sure.
Okay,
Great, thank
all
you.
right. So I'll make a motion that we authorize 44 Brewery, that we allow them 4 one-day liquor licenses for malt. They're going to be operating on Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 6.
Was it?
But they're
was
only going
5,
to do
wasn't it?
12 to 5, but I think we were putting 12 to 6 on this. Or do you want it just to go to 5?
You're muted,
You
sir.
muted,
The
Michael.
application's till
right.
5.
Yeah, we're going to be serving till 5. I mean, it does, if we could put it to 6 just to cover the whole day. But our plan is to stop serving by 5 o'clock, have last call at 4:45.
We had to clean up.
Okay, Bree, what did the application say, 5?
It's requested hours of sale, 12 to 5.
Okay, so we'll go with the application, 12 to 5 then, which is what they were planning on doing with last call at 4:45.
Right.
Okay, and you've got all of the necessary paperwork that, and then everyone will be tip certified who is going to be pouring. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second, John. Roll call vote, Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Yes. All right, very good. Well, this is exciting. I hope everything works out well and that, give the chief a call and I'm sure that he'll work with you.
Excellent. Well, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, everyone. We'll be
Very
back.
good.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
probably see you down there. Right.
Thank you.
Good night. All right. So next item on the agenda is the approval to utilize bid docs online as the platform for the Townhouse roof project. John Williamson or John Trainer, did you guys want to speak to this?
I'll defer to John.
Okay.
Basically, this is, as I understand it, and Liz, of course, has been more involved than I am on it, but as I understand it, this is just a platform that makes it easier for us to bid out the roof project and utilizing working with the architect to help do that. So I think she just needs an approval to be able to go ahead and use this system.
I think there was $1,000 cost to it, but it sounded like not just the roof bids, but any further bids. It's just going to make her life easier. And I think if it makes her life easier, that's good for us.
Yeah, and so in other words, I think we used something similar for the police station project. So we did not have to go and create copies of all of the bid docs for people asking for that. You just go onto the system and everything is there. So it's a self-service platform for them to get the information that they need, and it makes life in the townhouse a lot easier when bidding out projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have a motion? Well, I can make a motion that, Mark, did you have any concerns about this first before I make a motion?
No, Liz seemed enthusiastic about it, so I'm glad to be in favor.
All right, so I'll make a motion that that we utilize bid docs online as our platform for town projects. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay. All right. So we approved the online format. Did you have a question, Bree? Okay.
No, I'm
All right.
good. Did you put the cost is $1,000 to the town?
$1,000. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So the next is approval of the agreement for services for the townhouse roof with Habib and Associates, the consultant. John Williamson, did you want to speak to this?
I'm not sure. Did we actually get the agreement? There was some question whether it would make it for this meeting or whether we'd have to bump it to the next one.
No, we did get the agreement. It looks like their fee is $52,500. Is that about where you expected?
I'm not really sure. They had put in, again, they'd give us an estimate for the overall project, and so we chunked out a piece to sort of get it started. So I assume that sounds right. They're going to have to do a fair amount of the project management and figuring out of how we tackle this.
Do you want us to hold this till you can look at the paperwork?
I think it probably makes sense. We can do that at our next meeting, and that will be between now and the next BOS meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, very good. So we'll just hold that for a future meeting. Okay. All right. So really, that's all we've got. Why don't we finish the agenda, and then do you want to finish up with the projects and priorities list, so that way anybody that's on here can scram if they've got other things to do?
Good choice.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right. So Mark, did you want to do the town administrator's update?
Oh,
Or I can.
At your discretion.
Okay. All right. So I can do Liz's update. So what she had reported was that the COVID cases were starting to be reported again. We had 3 as of August 5th, and they're watching this closely. No plans to change any protocols currently. She said some towns are reverting back to requiring masks to be worn by everyone in municipal buildings, including employees and the general public. Chief Silva and Liz want to see how things evolve over the next couple of weeks and if the state implements any new mandates. In the meantime, some people do wear a mask in the building currently, and people are doing what makes them comfortable, which is great. So anyone who is unvaccinated and or wants to wear a mask is encouraged to do so. She is working with the auditor and town accountant and treasurer on establishment of best practices in their respective areas. We have an inquiry to one of the licensing folks at Comcast to figure out basic internet service to the old townhouse for Wi-Fi purposes. She's working with the fire chief on ambulance billing and new protocols, and continuing communications with Nick Rizzo regarding the marijuana cultivation proposal. And then that's what she's got for her update. Mark, did you want to do the correspondence, or do you want me to do the correspondence?
I'm glad to do correspondence if you want.
Great, thank you.
So Bree received today from the Board of Health a note that 3 people had been appointed by the Board of Health and would need to be sworn in by the town clerk. One of these 3 apparently went to the clerk today, but they weren't on a previous list that we had given them. So the 3 people are Kevin Ford for health agent, Kathy Drynan for assistant health agent, and Amos Wood for assistant health agent. Apparently Mr. Wood was in today. So what we have before us is a need to ratify or appoint Amos Wood as the assistant health officer until June 30th of 2022.
All right.
So that's the motion, that he be appointed.
All right, I'll second the motion. All right, Mr. Russo?
Can we also appoint Kathy Drynan on that?
Why don't we do this one, and then we'll do the other 2 as a separate appointment, all right?
Okay, perfect. All right, John, any concerns with these appointments?
No.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Okay, all right. What else do you have, Mark?
All right, then I'm going to make a motion that we also appoint Kathy Drynan as assistant health agent and Kevin Ford as health agent. And I presume, and I hope we don't get into any concerns on this, that these are 1-year appointments until June 30th of 2022.
All right, any questions or concerns, John?
Nope.
Okay, all right. We've got a motion. I'll second the motion. Roll call vote, Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what else do you have, Mark?
I think there's an application here for the use of the town property. That is the gazebo on September 12th. Stephen Craig and Brandy, I think it's Julius, would like to get married on the town green. I don't remember that happening recently. It seems like a pretty sweet thing. So I am fine with that. There would need to be approval by all the others, the fire chief, the police chief, highway, board of health, but pending their approval, I'm glad to make a motion that we approve this application.
Okay. Are you okay with this, John?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll second the motion. Roll call vote. Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. Anything else?
That covers that. Good luck
Okay.
to the couple that wants to get married.
Yeah, very exciting. I had one more thing in correspondence that Liz had sent over. It was an email from Captain Schusted regarding the Red Cross. And so I will read this. So it says, this was actually to Bree. Good morning, Bree. Yesterday I installed 5 smoke detectors in a home that was built in the 1800s for an elderly couple in town. They did not have any smoke detectors in the home. The American Red Cross provides the smoke detectors to us for free. This is the second time I have gone to a home that did not have any smoke detectors in it. I was wondering if the selectmen would be willing to recognize the American Red Cross for supporting the fire department and helping to keep our residents safe. And please let me know if you have any more, or if you need any more information. So, thank you to the Red Cross for providing us with smoke detectors. I'm not sure what the fire department is doing to promote that, but anything that we can do to help get the word out that there are smoke detectors available through the fire department would be a good thing.
Yeah, I know they're going in, wherever they go into a house where the residents don't have it. And one of the nice things about these smoke detectors, the batteries have a 10-year life. So, older seniors, they might forget, but in this case, hopefully it doesn't outlive them, but so I think it's a great idea. And I know John Schusted has been promoting this often.
I wonder if Colleen could get something in the newsletter.
In
The
fact,
COA newsletter?
It was in the newsletter.
Oh, it was in the newsletter. Excellent.
yeah, but in
Colleen
fact,
told me it was in the newsletter.
Captain John Schusted came to the Council on Aging meeting today and reiterated this. And I believe Colleen was going to put it in again.
Great. Mark, you look like you want to say something?
No, I guess just sort of a question. This is for anyone, any senior citizen, or
I'm not sure.
The way I understand it, any house they go into that has no smoke detectors, they will try to put it under this program.
Nice. I wonder if it includes non-functional smoke detectors, but something.
I don't think they test them.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can get more information. It would be good to get a little bit more information. And whether, is this just for seniors or is this for town residents?
My belief is it's town residents, but
okay, so it's for any resident?
Yeah, but I think we should just check with Captain Schusted and make sure. Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right. So on the consent agenda, we've got the minutes from 7/26 and the warrants paid. So the warrants paid were $1,507.98. And that was for Local Computer, Halifax Glass, Eversource, and Crystal Rock Water. Did you guys have any issues with the minutes from 7/26?
I had one typo, and otherwise the minutes were really good. But the typo was the second page, the next to last item, Area 58 and cable contract, 1, 2, 3. The fourth word from the end shouldn't be AHT, but rather what, WHAT.
Did you already make that correction, Bree?
Yes.
Okay, she had already corrected that because I saw the
Great.
same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so can we vote on the items on the consent agenda?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, okay, roll call vote. Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, all right, so that's all set. So we still have got the projects and priorities. John?
Excuse me 1 minute.
Go ahead, Bree.
Yeah. So are the minutes going to be as amended or as written?
They would be as written because you'd already made the change from AHT to what? Right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So, John, Williamson, did you have anything you wanted to add about COVID in the school? Has it changed anything for you guys, the Delta variant?
It's not helpful.
No.
So there's a joint school committee meeting tomorrow at 5. Silver Lake and the 3 towns and Union 31. And there'll be some discussions there about, we'll have our council there as well to sort of help sort through the various policies, and more discussion there. Certainly we can see the CDC as well as Mass Department of Health and Department of Elementary and Secondary Education are advising, and DPH and DESE have strongly recommended masks in K through 6 for all students. And then there's some differences of recommendations between CDC and the state groups with respect to 7 through 12. So that's going to sort of have to be sorted out. I'm not sure everything will get sorted out tomorrow night, but there'll be additional guidance coming out from DESE and DPH a little later this month. And I think things are changing, maybe not quite daily, but pretty close to that. So, we're just going to have to see and see how folks want to deal with it. But yeah, no, it's certainly not, it's bad timing. We had a couple months later last year before things started to get sort of where we are now. So, but we'll see, so for the school, they're already in setting up the classrooms. They're already, doing the best they can to space things out, as they can per classes. But we have an extra almost 40 kids in the Dennett this year than we did last year. Just by different, about 40, 35 to 40 more kids, because you have the grade that left was the really small grade. That was the grade, they only had, I think, 21 kids, and 5 of those kids were, were from out of town. And so that grade was really only half a grade. And so the grade coming in is close to 40 for the kindergarten. So you've got big differentials, and you have probably a few students that were, we had students that were fully were remote last year, decided to homeschool for the year, not remote. Remote came back, but some kids that were homeschooled last year were coming back this year, and so on and so forth. So it's a big increase. So it just means that we just have to work with the spacing. But the school should look much more like normal than it did for last year. We're just trying to figure out the various protocols. The other thing I'll just mention is the playground work that began last week, or even the week before. So the old playground's been removed. They're making room for the new one, and our hope is to have that installed by the beginning of school. So that's the happy note on on the rest of this. And a lot of improvements up there. The new siding went on the wall that faces the parking lot. So that looks kind of neat up there to deal with the failing siding, and yeah, a lot going on. The parking lot's all redone. It's all one color for the first time, and there's actually stripes and everything. So a lot of work. But we'll know more for everyone. I think after tomorrow evening, at least at the elementary level.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that report. All right, so why don't we go on to the priorities list, and then we can finish with our rants and raves at the end. All right, so do we have the ability to put this up on a board, or are we just going to go through it?
I don't have that ability.
Yeah, I don't either. Well, okay, so let's just go through the list. All right, so the list starts with our FY 2022 goals, which are work through the board's projects and priorities list, foster healthy.
Can I suggest, Christine, we skip some that aren't changing?
Absolutely. Okay.
Like the goals, I mean, they've been the same since we've started.
Sure. Okay, very good. All right, so
let's move on. Make it go faster.
Yep, yay. Let's move on to emergency management. So hazard mitigation planning grant. This is something that Liz is working on, and she indicated it's 95% complete.
Yeah, we've had a number of meetings, and they're just finishing the final report, so it's done.
Great. All right, so COVID-19 situational awareness. This is the town administrator, the fire chief, and the Board of Health. She said this is in progress. Something that they're continuing to monitor. So under financial team, refinement of budget and forecasting process. It's in progress. They're meeting the third Wednesday of each month.
Yes, well, this is something that we've started so that every month there'll be a date. It'll be the third Wednesday. I think the first meeting was really, I thought, well done. Liz is doing a good job. And with the new people, Lisa and Christine Kelly, it's going to be powerful.
All right, next item is the 5-year capital plan. This is FinCom, Town Administrator, and the Town Properties Committee. And she's got consider a town meeting article to modify our bylaw and to diversify membership to a capital committee.
I think when she printed this, Liz and I talked later, and we felt that this might be something might want to hold until we get through this process with the Town Properties Committee and the fire station.
Okay, so that might be something down the road.
Yeah, revisit it later.
Okay, very good. All right, strategy for financial reporting, financial team. She said this is in progress.
Yes.
Survey software options, town accountant, working out details on what we'd be seeking and then going to test our current software capabilities first.
Yeah, this was one I've been kind of pushing, but now they're pushing back on me. Lisa and Christine Kelly, accountant and the treasurer, saying that in fact the software we have, while it's DOS-based, has a lot more functionality that nobody was using, basically for whatever reasons. So we sort of taken a strategy of let's leave it in place for 6 to 9 months because Lisa needs to come up to date on it, make sure that we're well grounded, then take a look at the Excel capabilities, and then start to look outside as to what might be available. And I think it just makes a little more sense that way. So I've stopped throwing stones at it right now.
Just pebbles now?
Yeah, just pebbles.
Okay. All right. Affordable housing opportunities, development of an action plan based on the housing production plan. Old Colony Planning Council had reached out to me earlier in the summer. Actually, it might have been around town meeting time, where we've got a little bit of money left in a grant that they had been working with us on another project. And they offered to help us develop an action plan using the remaining grant funding money. So I think that we're going to be bringing them in to talk to us at an upcoming meeting about how they can help us to develop a action plan based on our housing production plan. So that's going to be coming soon. I think that'll probably be an August meeting, maybe the later August or early September. Identification of town-owned land that could be utilized. She's got that marked as complete. Looks like we've already gone through the list and vetted the properties. It's got fostering public-private partnership. So this is something that's in progress. We're working closely with Habitat for Humanity to see if we might be able to get some age-restricted affordable housing in the town. So that's something we're working on now. Highway Department functions, implement a pavement management plan. So she indicated that this was in progress. You know anything about this, John?
Just that this is something we've been talking about for quite a while. And the idea would be once we get the software where we feel comfortable with it, that it would be, we could put it up on the web and people would be able to dial in and understand what the highway department has as their, how they're going to lay out the monies, where they're going to go first. And I think I hope it'll reduce some of the heat with people coming in and saying, gee, nobody's doing anything to our road. At least we'll be able to discuss why. So I'm very much in favor.
Yeah, and know there's a plan. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, planning helps us save money. All right, so intersection maintenance, Main Street Ring Road and Winnetoxet Prospect and Parsonage. This the safety zone painting is, I believe it's in progress. I know Rob had indicated at our previous meeting that he had ordered the stencils and the paint, and I think he was waiting for some good weather to get started. So I'm not sure if he's actually started with the painting or not.
Yeah, I think at the last meeting, he said it would be a few weeks, and I think we just need to stay on top of this and get this done.
Great. Okay, next item, Corduroy Road and Main Street. I'm not sure what this means. I mean, I know it's a corduroy road, but what does that mean?
So this is the stretch that runs from Main Street where Ring Road intersects towards the Townhouse. Basically, as you come down that road, it's very low with the bogs on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And a corduroy road is what apparently they call as a term. The road was built on cedar logs that were put in, and they're rotten. They're starting, so the road is slowly settling, and the road needs to be redone and brought up. And in the past, it never was addressed because there was a question of if we're going to do Main Street Ring Road intersection, would probably make sense to do the whole thing. But now, since we're moving towards trying the safety zones, I think this is getting to a point from what Rob was telling me that we need to address it. And I would say we need an update for him on if we're going to do this as a one-off project, what the timing is, where the money's going to come from, all those things.
I wonder also, again, if this is an opportune time with the infrastructure money coming around. This looks like it's ready-made for some federal help.
I heard today on the news, too, that a commentator was saying they're worried about Massachusetts because this is going to be, the infrastructure money, if it passes, is going to be given to shovel-ready projects, which John has been talking about with us to make sure we understand we got to get this moving because that's the people who are going to get the money up front.
Yeah. Same thing with the fire station. The sooner we...
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we'll have to bring Rob back maybe next time when we talk about the bridges, the updates, we can find out what's happening with this and get it in line for some tip money or, get it on the radar. Heavy truck traffic discussion. So this is something that's in progress. OCPC is pursuing this for us about getting some restrictions on the roads for truck traffic. I'm not sure where Liz is with working with Kingston on Ring Road. John or Mark, do you have anything?
I'll check with Liz as soon as she's back. It's kind of slow motion on this project, and I'd like to move this one along, or see if Old Colony can move it along. Not that complicated.
I'll reach out to them and find out, ask for an update where we are, and maybe we get them on an upcoming agenda to give us a report as to what the next step is or what do we need to do to keep this moving.
Thank you.
All right, so let me write that down, CPC. All right, so natural and recreational resources, municipal vulnerability preparedness grant. Looks like this is open space and Concom, and this is in progress. Town-owned land disposition process, review town-owned land each year. If requests to purchase are received, follow established process. We completed it this year for the land of low value. Water Resources Working Group in progress. Mark, do you have anything to add on that?
No, Thursday night, the MVP report's going to be presented at Old Colony. And apparently this is a knock your socks off report on where we're at, our resources and where we can go. And so I think that's going to move that process along. So actually Thursday night, anyone that's interested, that's an important meeting, open space meeting to attend.
Okay, great. Next is Seoul Homestead. This is Board of Assessors and Board of Selectmen. This is in progress. Looks like we sent a status update request to Middleborough to find out where we are. Is this, what's happening with this, Mark?
The only holdup is the state legislature. We keep asking, we keep hearing that it's in process and it's not done. As soon as that is done, Open Space Committee and the gang that does these things is ready to get to work on the parking lot.
Yeah, I heard that it came out of whatever the special committee is that reviews it on the House side, and now it goes to the full House. So this should happen pretty soon.
And fingers crossed, we've heard that in the past.
Yeah.
Hopefully this time it actually does happen.
Hopefully. All right, solar agreements. The Board of Assessors is working on solar agreements.
Hey, Christine, unless I missed it, the top of the page, there's the fire department street number signs.
Thank you.
We want to give John a chance to.
I was going to pass over this. I've asked the fire chief to do this. He said yes, but with all the things that are on his plate, I've just sort of waiting for a little less involved time. It's just putting a couple of signs out. The number signs in front of the library, the townhouse, the fire station, down to the highway department.
Okay, so this is another pebble?
This is another pebble.
Okay, all right.
It's in my shoe.
All right, on to senior citizens. Plympton Senior Citizen Issues, Council on Aging, and Selectmen. This is in progress. John, anything to report?
It's going to be my rave. We have the Council on Aging is becoming very active, and it's really fun to go to their meetings now. And I think with Colleen Thompson's leadership and Nancy Butler, you're going to start to see a lot of events come out that they'll be advertising. So I think this is going to be good.
Great, that's great to hear. All right, so GATRA Transportation Services, this is in progress. We're at the planning level of service, including scheduling, routes, et cetera. I think, there's going to be more to come. And when Liz gets back, we might be able to set up a joint meeting.
We've got a meeting set up with Liz and I and Colleen Thompson. We had our first meeting with GATRA, Zoom meeting, and it's sort of, they put it on us to go off and say, what's your wish list? So we're putting that together and then we'll work from there. But it's really early in the process.
Is it possible, I wonder, to open it up and get a wish list from residents too?
Yes, I think that's absolutely, because there's a lot of, I think we, not only from residents, but from the other towns that use it, like Kingston, Carver, so that we make sure we've got everything covered and then we start to weed it down. I think the functionality is going to be cost, and who knows, maybe there's money out there that we can do a lot, but at this point we are just starting the first steps.
Early in the process.
Yep.
All right, very good. All right, so technology, fiber optic upgrade, including phones. This is the police chief, the fire chief, town administrator, and this is in progress. I talked to Matt today, and I guess there was a little bit of a delay. They were hoping to have everything done by, I think, this Thursday, but it's been kicked back, I believe, to the 27th. So it's going to be like 2 more weeks before they're going to be ready for the changeover. But he said that was okay because he still had some work to do. So that's not quite finished yet. Technology master plan and bolster website. Board of Selectmen, town administrator, IT in progress. John? Yeah.
This is, we had talked to Steve Pello from Silver Lake Regional District, who's kind of acting, looking over our shoulder as a consultant. But COVID came along and kind of put this in abeyance. He's got so much on his plate with that we agreed we'd talk in the fall. And now with COVID resurging, I'm not sure where this is going to stand. So we'll just have to play it a little bit by ear. John, maybe you can.
I do think it makes sense to reach out to him maybe beginning of October.
Yeah.
So let them get back into school. There's still going to be some technology demands, but at least given the requirements right now that school is 5 days in person by the state, we're not, the technology challenges that they had last year are not as extreme, but let's let them get the school year started and then maybe reach out and see what is.
Yeah, I understand he also had a few staff changeovers, a couple of people left. He's got new people in. That'll slow him down a little too.
Yeah.
John, did you see that the next round of community compact grants just was released today?
No, I didn't.
All right, I'll shoot you the email. There's
okay, great. Thank you.
Best practices, and there actually was something about fiber optics. So John Williamson, do you want me to send it to you as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. So I'll
Me
send.
too, please.
Okay, I'll send it to all three of you. Perfect. Town Properties Committee, Master Plan for Town Campus, Housing Choice Grant, Phase 1 has been completed and the grant is closed out. John Williamson?
Yep. So, we have an initial plan, high level. Now with that, we have the next phase. So with the phase 2, I think there's two pieces to this. One, we need to take a little bit of time and look at recreation, because when we do the plan, the way that everything fits, it impedes upon the existing ball fields. So we are going to look to get a consultant on board to do pretty much the same thing that we did for the town campus, but for Harry Jason Park, in an effort to be able to see what fits where, and start getting an idea of what the costs are with that, because it ends up being part of the overall project. And then being able to figure out what sources of funds we have to leverage and so on and so forth with that piece of it. The other part of phase 2 is to be able to get someone to help us look at the campus plan, and understanding the fire station piece of it, but looking at it with everything except the fire station piece of it, how we could break that up into segments or in additional phases and start to get an idea of notional costs and so on as to how all that fits together. And so that's sort of our goal for this year's work on that piece of it.
Great. All right, next we've got Plympton Hearst with the highway superintendent. Anything on that, John Trainer?
I'm involving the Town Properties Committee.
We need a place to put it.
Yeah.
That's where it is right now is not where it should be. But I do not have a good alternative right now to say where we should be storing it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be a few years till we get to that point. So I guess the other thing we might want to think about, and we can talk about this maybe even at Town Properties, is whether we want to reach out and see if someone has some storage space that we could put it in. Because I really don't like the idea of it sitting down in the center street. I don't know. I'm going to say shed to be as polite as I can, because it's just, with the moisture and all that. So that would be ideal. I mean, I think we're going to end up coming to a point that even when we've got everything sorted with a fire station and some additional storage for the police department, we're probably still going to need some level of a storage building where we can put stuff that we have that's going to be properly climate controlled. But I think that's a little ways down the list. So we might have to figure out something short term for that.
I wonder if Massachusetts Historical Society would help us out with that.
It's worth asking.
I don't know. It might be worth asking if, they could even keep it on loan until we have a suitable place to keep it where it's safe and dry.
Yeah. I mean, it's sat in Shepherd's funeral home for who knows how many years. So,
and I mean, I honestly haven't even seen it. I don't think it's not huge.
No, it isn't.
So, even if we're able to build a new fire station, we could easily put it into the old fire station, even if we are utilizing that as community space. Tuck it in a corner, at least in the short term. So we have to think about it. We just need somewhere that's got more climate control. An old shed without it is not ideal. So, and I know that Captain Schustad has dealt with a few mouse families and so on that have thought it a neat place to camp out. So I'll add that to the agenda on our side.
Maybe we could make space in the townhouse. Who knows? Okay, very good. All right. Yeah, the Selectmen's meeting room. We're not.
Yeah,
meeting.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, except Zumba's in there and Tai Chi. All right. So fire department. Looks like they've got space constraints, building aprons, septic issues, and future uses, roof issues.
This is really all Town Properties Committee. I mean,
right.
We know where we're moving along.
Okay. All right. So nothing you want to add? It's pretty self-explanatory.
We have a meeting scheduled for next Wednesday with hopefully most or all of the finance committee, with our other financial folks, to sort of talk through our initial thoughts of what we're trying to do, so we can all try and get into the boat and row in the same direction, make sure that we're thinking about numbers correctly and that we're sort of moving things forward. And there's a bit of urgency here, as we were talking about, from an infrastructure perspective, depending on what ends up in the infrastructure bill, that there could be opportunities for some pretty significant grant funding out of that. And we don't want to miss that if we can. Plus, the issues aren't getting any better in that building.
So do you want to go through these other ones? We've got library, town green, townhouse, and athletic fields,
I can give you a quick update just so that everyone on the board is there. So
Okay.
With roofs, we've got the roof on the townhouse that we're going to do some work on, and then between now and the next town meeting, meeting with the architect on Wednesday with Ross McPherson, so that he can actually see the inside of the building. He hasn't seen that yet, and figure out sort of what we package this first phase at trying to fix the problems, not just the leaks, but the overall problems with that building. And we're going to be doing, for both the fire station and the library, going to do a roof assessment of both of those buildings, so we get an idea of lifespan and potential costs down the road to deal with that, so we can bookmark those. Town Green, the flagpole in Town Green is due to be remade. It will be cleaned up and made white again, and that is to happen anytime. I think we're on top of their schedule. They had some equipment things, and they'll also address the flagpole on Route 106, Main Street. So both of those are going to get sorted. Athletic fields, I think we talked about that. We're going to do some work to sort of, and work with Pays and the Recreation Commission, anyone else that wants to contribute, to sort of figure out what we could do over there and figure out how that fits into the big plan as well. Police station, the chief is getting an impound area that he's putting together with some fencing and so on. And as part of the fire station project, we have actually incorporated an additional small building that could be utilized both by the police department for impound, as well as council on aging for the vehicles. So it's on the overhead plan. It is not in the plan yet, but we've accounted for the space of that, so that down the road we can get him what he needs for that. And I think that's the big stuff for the moment.
Great, thanks, John. Okay, so now on to volunteerism in general government. We've got volunteer recognition outreach, the Board of Selectmen.
It's just sort of on hold. We haven't really done anything.
Yeah. I'll mention there's an opening on open space and an opening on community preservation committee, additional energy for the Conservation Commission. And I'm working with the chair of open space to begin to get the word out on that and vet candidates a little bit.
Great. All right, flags from center to old townhouse. This is something
Liz,
that,
Yeah, Liz and I met on that, and she's researching the cost. So hopefully next time we meet, we'll have some cost and we can talk about when it makes sense.
Great. Okay, flag and decoration policy. This was something that I had added. I didn't know if this is something we wanted to adopt for all town property, where we have kind of a consistent look on town memorials and any town islands with memorials on them, just because there had been an issue where there had been some different groups that were doing their own decorating. Just something to consider. I don't know if this is something we want to bite off now, or whether it's really not worth stirring the pot over.
Yeah.
Going back to volunteer recognition and outreach, just I think there was a communication last week about possibly having a table at the 9/11 celebration.
Oh yeah, yes.
For Board of Selectmen. I'd be glad to do that if either of you want to join me. I think that'd be a nice opportunity to get the word out about the opportunities for service.
Yeah, that was originally going to be done in conjunction with the 9/11 observance.
Yeah.
It's now been changed so that the craft fair, they're calling it, will be the next day on Sunday, 9/12. And they'll have a barbecue run by the fire people. And they're asking for tables. So I'd be glad to help you, Mark, on that.
Okay, good.
I know Council on Aging is talking about being there. We might want to have John, one for Town Properties Committee. I mean, it's the perfect time.
No, we did talk about that, and I think we need to. I think it's an important thing to do and be able to show interested residents some of the work that we've done so far and what we're thinking about.
On Saturday, after the 9/11 observance, they're going to invite everybody back to the fire station and give tours. So we probably should be thinking about that too, as a way of getting our message out.
Yep.
And maybe we can split the duties however you want. I'm sure Ross and Nancy and Colleen would be glad to help.
Yep.
Great. All right, let's see, internships.
This, we had a couple of interns, and when COVID came along, it just died. I mean, they can't go into the school. They certainly don't want to come here. So I think that's just on hold until we're a little further along with COVID.
Okay. Cemetery cleanup events, Board of Selectmen and the Scouts.
Yeah, this is something I've been championing. This is the North Plympton Cemetery. Turns out our Boy Scouts, our insurance doesn't allow for anybody to work on the town land under 18, which is years ago, we didn't even worry about that. So they had the lawyer draw up a release for the lady who owns the 15 acres that the cemetery sits on, which basically just said town assumes liability. And she wouldn't sign it. And she's not messaging me. So I decided to leave this to the fall.
Okay.
Take some pictures showing how it's grown up even more, and then see if I can readdress it.
Okay. Thanks, John. All right. Educational opportunities for volunteers.
I don't know where that came from.
Me neither.
It's a good idea, though.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be educational opportunities for volunteers, but you will have opportunities for volunteers at your 9/11 event. You're going to be sharing openings that we've got, and maybe some education about what the different departments do.
I wonder if this means training opportunities.
I think it probably does.
I think that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, and there are all of them more all the time. And it may be one of the messages for volunteers is people that have energy and interest but don't know. And there's so much more available now than there was, say, a decade ago on getting trained and getting up to speed. Maybe we need to be getting the word out when we're doing the outreach we'll be doing.
And a lot of it's free, the MMA and other organizations.
Right. Yeah, online. Okay, great. All right, things to follow for long-term Carver Urban Renewal Project. We already talked about that today. Rocky Harvest Settlement Compliance. It's my understanding that they're still in compliance. I have not heard anything indicating otherwise. Future exploration of shared services and opportunities.
I think that kind of went on hold with COVID too.
I think we've done a little bit with animal control.
That's true.
Yeah.
With Carver. So I think Liz and police and fire are still looking for opportunities when they come up and they're a good fit for the town. So it's still on their radar. All right. And then we've got grants, federal, state foundations. Colleen Thompson, does she still have time to do this?
Yes, I know Liz and her are talking. The fire and the police pretty much do their own.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we've got so much going on, there's going to be a need for grants. So we'll have to work with Colleen and see whether she does have the bandwidth. And if not, how we can help.
Okay. I know I saw something at an OCPC meeting where they provided a link to all the available grants, and I think that they were state and federal grants. So I'm going to get a copy of that link
Right.
and share it so that it might be easier if at least everything's in one place.
Yeah, I think the state has a link that you can go to that lists all the grants that they have. I'll send that to you.
Great, thank you. Okay, all right, so that's everything for our projects and priorities. All right, so the only thing we've got left are rants and raves. Our next meeting is going to be on the 23rd, and then we're meeting on the 13th and the 27th. And the 27th, I'm actually gonna be traveling for work. I'm gonna be in Tampa. So John, can you run the meeting on the 27th?
Sure.
Perfect, awesome. Okay, so rants and raves, who'd like to go first?
Well, I've sort of given my rave already on the Council on Aging. It's just nice to see all these people. I think we had 15 people in the room today, throwing out ideas. And I think we're starting to see the Council on Aging that we always wanted with the leadership of Nancy Butler and Colleen Thompson. So it's very, very positive.
It's nice to have some energy and excitement. Yes. Yeah, that's great. Mark, did you have anything?
Yeah, well, actually, I believe it or not, I think maybe my rave is for the projects and priorities list. I kind of dread this when it comes along. It's a lot of stuff, but I think slowly, we're getting to the place that we're refining the process a little, and it's a lot more rapid. We've gone a long ways from the days 10 years ago when my mentor at the time, Natasha Romanoff, said, you got to hold up the legal pad and say, this is the parking lot, and so we don't lose any information. In any event, I think we're coming along and making the process a little more efficient and a little more interesting, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your work, John and Christine, on moving that along.
One of the things that Liz brought up was that, we do it 6 times a year, supposedly, that maybe we go to 3. I'm wondering if we went to 4, which is every quarter we do it, and then if it slips, it slips. I mean, it slipped because we had a lot of things that we were addressing. But I'd like to see it go to 4 times. I think every 2 months is probably too much.
I appreciate that, John. I was going to bring it up, but I didn't want to irritate anyone along the way. And I think 4, and if by chance that's sort of morphed into 3, then we'd be right on target. So sounds good.
Great. All right, that sounds good to me too. All right, my rave is our meeting in Carver with the RDA, and Mark had a good point. He said, it was interesting to see that, other communities are struggling with the same things we are, because they were trying to come up with a way to get the correct information out to the public. And how were they going to do that, to get this information on their website? And they didn't really have the money to do it. It was like, oh my gosh, this hits home. So it was just a really good meeting. I feel like there are very good group of people who we're going to be able to have open discussion with and dialogue, and that they're going to listen to our concerns and try to work with us. This is going to happen. There's no doubt about it. Not sure when. Right now, everything is conceptual, but they're listening to us. So that's a good thing, and we'll continue to talk and share our concerns, and hopefully we can protect our residents along the way.
Yeah, I'm really glad you both are taking the lead on this, because this chatter around it is only going to grow, and there'll be a lot of cynicism that's out there. And by doing this, at least we'll let people know that, hey, we're trying to do everything we can for the town of Plympton. So that's great.
And try to get accurate information out. So we did reach out to the residents with what we had for a plan at the time, and all of the information that we had, so that everybody's in the loop, and that we can try to make sure that at least the correct information that we're receiving is out there. So that's really all we can do. All right, very good. Well, that's all we've got for tonight. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Good night.
Yay.
Thank you all.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Bree. Good night.